Let us continue our journey in solving the MCQs of BCBR. Now this is the 24th chapter, Manuscript Writing. Let us see the first question. Which of the following is not a part of IMRD structure? The options are A. Introduction, B. Methodology, C. Repetition, or D. Discussion. So which is not a part of IMRD structure? So the answer for this question is C. Repetition is not a part of IMRD structure. IMRD. The IMRD structure consists of IMRD. I stands for introduction, M is for methods, R for results, and D for discussion. So R is for results. R is for results, not repetition. Okay. So please remember the answer. Next question. What is the first job in the introduction part of IMRD structure? Options are A. Explain the objectives, B. Steps to protect the participants, C. Zooming into the research topics, or D. Present the study findings. So what is the first job? The first step in the introduction part will be C, that is zooming into the research topics. Zooming into the research topics. See over here, regarding the introduction part, I stands for introduction. The first step is zooming in. Second comes background, then knowledge gap, rational, and then the objectives. All these are to be included in the introduction, but the first step will be zooming into the research topics. Next question. What is the recommended font size and style for a manuscript writing? So there is specific recommendations are for font size and style. Chalo, what are the options? A. 12 point Times New Roman, or B. 10 point Arial, or C. 14 point Calibri, or D. 8 point Courier. So what is the answer for this question? For a manuscript writing, the recommended font size and style is A. 12 point Times New Roman. 12 point Times New Roman. Please remember this answer. Next question. State whether true or false. Manuscript is any document that is submitted for publication. Is this a true statement or a false statement? Manuscript is any document that is submitted for publication. Yes, this is a true statement. This is actually a definition of manuscript. Okay, please remember this point. If sometimes they ask what is the definition of manuscript and they give 4 different options. So manuscript is any document that is submitted for publication should be the answer. Next question. One of the following is not a part of a method section of IMRD structure. Okay, let us see the options. Options are A. Spell out operational definitions, B. Data management, C. Present the study findings, or D. Human participant protection. So what is not a part of a method section of IMRD structure? As I told you, this IMRD. This is introduction, methods, results, and discussions. Okay. In the method section, you have different subsections. So what is not a part of method section of IMRD structure in this question? Among the options given, the answer is presenting the study findings. Presenting the study findings does not come under the methodology section. See the information given in this slide. In the methodology section, you have study settings, study design, operational definitions, then sampling strategy, sample size, study procedures, data management, and human participant protection. Whereas in the results part, you have presenting the study findings, tables, figures, and images, title, footnote, abbreviations, color and resolution, and the last one will no interpretations or comments. So in our question, the presentation of study findings, this we have taken as the answer. This comes under the results part, not the methodology part. Okay, in the methodology, you have the rest of the options. Spelling out operational definitions, yes. The next option was data management. You have data management over here. Where is the data management? Yes, it is over here. And then human participant protection last. So from 1 to 8, please remember this chart. What are all the steps in the methodology, and then what are all the steps in the result section. They may ask you a question in the similar manner. Okay. Next question. What is the final part in method section? Just now we have seen what is the final part they have asked. Let us see the options. A. Data management. B. Human participant protection. C. Spell out the operational definitions. Or D. Present the study findings. We have just now seen the list of the services in methodology section. The last one will be the human participant protection. See the information of the methodology chart. Study settings is the first one, then design, then comes operational definition, sampling strategy, sample size, study procedures, data management. Lastly, you have the lastly mentioned is the human participant protection. So if this question comes in the answer in the examination, what is the final part in the method section? You take human participant protection as the answer. Next question. Data management in a biomedical research involves the following steps. Options are A. Data collection, B. Data integration, C. Data analysis, or D. All of the above. Where does data management come? Data management comes under the methodology section. Okay. Now in the data management, what are all the steps involved? Let us see. Data collection, yes, you definitely do. Then integration, yes, you integrate all the data. Then data analyze, yes, definitely you analyze. So therefore, the answer is all of the above. Answer is all of the above. Next question. What is the purpose of disclosing conflicts of interest in a manuscript? This is a very important topic. Conflict of interest is a very big chapter if in the advanced course of biomedical research. But for our small course, let us see this question. What is the purpose of disclosing conflicts of interest in a manuscript? Options are A. To ensure transparency and accountability. B. To avoid bias in the research. C. To comply with institutional regulations. Or D. To improve the writing skills. So what is the answer for this question? The answer is A. That is to ensure transparency and accountability. You have to disclose the conflicts of interest in a manuscript writing. Okay. Next question. State whether true or false. True or false. The method section could vary from study to study and may have different subsections depending on the study design. Yes, definitely this is a true statement. This is a very true statement. The method section could vary from study to study. There are few variations and may also have different subsections. There may be additions or deletions depending on the study design. So therefore this statement is a true statement. Next question. What is the recommended way to organize a manuscript's results section? What is the recommended way to organize a manuscript results section? In the IMRD, how do you organize this? Is the question. Okay. Let us see the options. A. Chronological order. B. Thematical order. C. Research question. Or D. By methodology. So the answer for this question is B. Thematically. Okay. If this question is asked in the examination, you take B as the answer. Next question. State whether true or false. There is no interpretation or commenting allowed in the result section. Yes, we have just seen in the result section, the last part or the last point in the results, they have mentioned that you are not supposed to interpret or commenting is allowed. Commenting is allowed in the result section. You have to just tell the results. Do not interpret what does it mean. Okay. So answer is true. Answer is true. See this chart on the result section. See the last point. There are no interpretations or comments allowed in the result section. Therefore, this statement is a true statement. Next question. What is the actual typical format of a manuscript? Typical format. Okay. So the options are A. Introduction, methods, results, discussions or conclusions. Or B. Abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussions. Or C. Titles, abstracts, introduction, methods, results, discussions and conclusions. Or D. Title, introduction, methods, results, discussions, conclusions and references. So what is the answer for this question? See, we know that IMRD structure is existing. We have just seen few questions back. Okay, so IMRD is existing. IMRD is existing, we know. So what are the other things? The actual typical format of a manuscript, actual typical format. Okay, so the answer for this question is option number C. That is, first comes the title, then comes the abstract, then IMRD structure, that is introduction, methods, results, discussions. Finally, you have the conclusions. Okay, so please remember this answer. Next question. One of the following is a part of human participant protection in biomedical research. Only one of the following is a part. Okay, let us see the options. Respecting the participants, minimize the risks and provide support. Then second is follow the ethical guidelines. C is take informed consent, or D all of the above. So what is a part of the human participant protection? Definitely you will be respecting. Then you have the following of ethical guidelines, taking informed consent. So therefore all of the above is the answer for this question. Okay, so please remember the question and the answer. Next question. What is usually included in the discussion section? A. Methods used. B. Summary of findings. C. Abstract. Or D. Reference list. See, we know IMRD. So the question is regarding the discussion section. Let us see the options again. Method use is definitely a different one, so this is not the answer. Summary of findings, let us see. Then abstract is also a different thing. Reference list is not there in discussions. So the answer will be summary of findings. But you should know what are all the things that comes under the discussion section. Now see the slide now. See the information in this slide regarding the discussion section. You have summary of findings, interpretation and inference, then you have comparisons, strengths and limitations. You will write regarding the conclusions, and then you will write regarding the recommendations. So from our question, summary of findings was the option given over here, and it comes under the discussion part. Summary of findings. The first step itself in the discussion is the summary of findings. So please remember the question and also the answer. Next question regarding the summary of key findings. The summary of key findings should not be more than dash lines. Oh, options are A 6 lines, B 4 lines, C 3 lines, or D 8 lines. See, because it is summary of key findings, okay, it should not be more than 3 lines, boss. It should be finished in 3 lines only. Okay, so this is the answer for this question. Please remember this answer. Next question. Which factor is often considered when selecting a journal for manuscript subscription? Which factor, okay, is often considered when selecting a journal for manuscript submission? Sorry. Options are A. Journal's impact factor, B. Journal's color scheme, C. Personal preferences of authors, or D. Journal's publication frequency. What is the answer? We all know. We have been reading through all the previous chapters. It is impact factor, so it is journal's impact factor. Journal's impact factor is the answer for this question. Next question. What is the recommended way to format a reference list in a manuscript? Okay. Formatting a reference list in a manuscript. Options are A. Alphabetize by the author's last name, or B. Organize by publication date, C. Group by theme or topic, or D. Use a numbered list. So actually the recommended way will be to alphabetize by author's last name. Author's last name, please remember this option. Sometimes they may ask alphabetize by author's first name, or second option will be alphabetize by author's last name. So if such a question is asked in such a manner, then you have to take the answer as alphabetize by author's last name. Next question. Which of the following is not a standard section of biomedical research manuscript? So what are the options? Options are A. Introduction, B. Methods, C. Results, or D. Bibliography. We know the answer very easily. We have seen this. IMRD. D is discussion, but here They have written bibliography. So this is the answer. Bibliography is not a standard section of biomedical research. Introduction is there, methodology is there, results are there. Okay. Next question. What is the purpose of an abstract in a manuscript? What is the purpose of an abstract? Why do you write? Options are A, to summarize the main findings, B, to introduce the research question, C, to describe the methodology, or D, to provide the background information. Abstract is to summarize. So therefore, the option is option number A is correct, that is to summarize the main findings. So this is the answer for this question. Next question. What is the recommended way to cite sources in a manuscript? Okay. Options are A, in-text citations with a reference list, or B, footnotes with the bibliography, or C, endnotes with a reference list, or D, no citations or no references. So what is the recommended way? The recommended way to cite sources in a manuscript is option number A, that is in-text citations with a reference list. If this question comes, just mug up the answer and put it in the examination. Next question. What is the purpose of the method section in a manuscript? What is the purpose? Options are A, to describe the research design, B, to present the results, or C, to discuss the findings, or D, to introduce the research question. So what is the purpose of method section in a manuscript? Purpose is A, that is to describe the research findings. To describe the research findings. Now, see the slide. See this slide regarding the method section. Among the options, research design is mentioned. And in the methodology, we have seen previously 1, 2, 3, 1 to 8. Okay. So you study design. This was the option which was given in this question. So we have put the answer as to describe the research design. I request the readers to please by heart this list of all the things you do in the methodology section of manuscript writing, because anything can be asked. We have seen previously question on human participant protection, on data management, then regarding the study settings, regarding operational definitions, anything can be asked. The next question. Why is it important to use proper citations? Why is it important? A, to fill the space, or B, to avoid plagiarism, or C, to make it look academic, or D, to confuse the readers. So what is the important use? What is the importance to use proper citations is to avoid plagiarism. To avoid plagiarism. Please remember this answer. Next question. Which one of the following is not a tip for making the writing cleaner? Options are A, using precise word order, B, using passive voice, C, using the inclusive language, or D, using consistent terminology. Which is not used for making the writing cleaner? The answer is using a passive voice. Please remember this answer and also the question. See the information regarding the tips for making your writing clearer. Okay. So over here, use simple, specific and necessary words. Use consistent terminology and avoid synonyms. Use inclusive and non-offensive language. Use precise word order. And you have to avoid passive voice. Avoid passive voice. Be mindful of the sentence length and structure. So in our question, they have asked which of the following is not a tip for making the writing clearer. It is clearer. Okay. So we took the answer as using the passive voice, because it is given you have to avoid passive voice. Actually will be you have to avoid the passive voice. It is written over here, avoid the passive voice. Next question. What is the typical structure of a manuscript's introduction part? Okay. You have IMRD, basic thing. Okay. In the introduction part, what is the typical structure? Options are A, background, research question, significance or scope and scope. Second option, research question, background, significance and scope. Third option, significance, background, research question and scope. Finally, scope, background, research question and significance. So what is the typical structure? Wherever any topic, please remember, you always start with background. You always start with background. So background, research question, significance and scope is the structure of a manuscript introduction. So option number A is the answer for this question. Next question. What should be included in the acknowledgement section? Options are A, personal opinions, B, funding sources and contributions, C is confidential information, or D is future research directions. So what should be included in the acknowledgements section? In the acknowledgement section, you include the funding sources and contributions. Please remember the question and also the answer. Funding sources and contributions. Next question. Which of the following is typically the first section of a manuscript? Typically. Okay. So options are A, introduction, B, abstract, C, methods, or D, literature review. We have seen this IMRD. Even prior to introduction, you have abstracts. Okay. First will be title, abstracted. So answer is B. Abstract is typically the first section of a manuscript before introduction. But if they give title as the option, then you have to take title as the answer for this question. Otherwise, as of now, abstract is the answer for this question. Next question. What is the recommended citation style for a manuscript? Citation style. Options are A, APA, B, MLA, C is Chicago, or D is IEEE. C, because we are all medical graduates, and if this question comes in the examination, citation style for a manuscript, just mug up the answer, put APA as the answer. Put APA as the answer. Don't bang your heads for this question. Next question. What is the purpose of using transitional phases in a manuscript? Options are A, to connect the ideas and paragraphs, B, to summarize the main points, C, to introduce new information, or D, to conclude the manuscript. So what is the purpose of using transitional phases in a manuscript? The answer is that to connect the ideas and paragraphs. A, option number A, to connect ideas and paragraphs. Okay. The next question. What is the recommended way to address the reader in a manuscript? How do you address the reader in a manuscript? Options are A, use the first person, that is I or B, or B, use the second person as you. C option is use the third person, he, she, it, or D, avoid addressing the reader directly. So what is the recommended way to address the reader in the manuscript? Answer is very simple. You have to avoid addressing the reader directly. Avoid addressing the reader directly. Next question. Which of the following is not typically included in a manuscript? Which of the following is not typically included in a manuscript? Options are A, title page, B, abstract, C, index, or D, references. Answer is very simple. Index is not included in the manuscript. Index is not included in the manuscript. Next question. What should you do if you realize you have made an error after submission? What will you do? Do you ignore it? Or do you notify the journal immediately? Or do you revise the entire manuscript? Or do you wait for the feedback? If you realize that you have made an error, you will immediately notify the journal immediately. So this is the protocol. Please remember the answer. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is typically not included in the dissertations methodology section? So which of the following is typically not included in the methodology section? Options are A, data collection methods, B, statistical analysis, C, literature review, or D, study design. So which is typically not included? Answer is the literature review is not included in the methodology section. Please remember the chart we have spoken regarding the methodology section. Let us see once again. whether the literature review is mentioned there or not. See this chart thoroughly. In the method section, from the options given in our question, we have data collection methods, you have statistical analysis plans, okay, data collection method, statistical analysis plans, okay, then you have the study design but not the literature review. You have the study design but not the literature review. So remember this question and also the answer. Next question. Which of the following is a common guideline for manuscript formatting? Options are A. Double spacing, B. Single spacing, C. Using a fancy fonts, or D. No headings. So what is the guideline for manuscript formatting? The answer is A. Double spacing. Double spacing is the guideline. Okay. Then next question. The conclusion section of a dissertation should A. Summarize the entire dissertation, B. Introduce new concepts, C. Discuss the limitations only, or D. Provide recommendations for future research. So the conclusion section, what will it do? It will provide recommendations for future research. Please remember this answer. It will provide recommendations for future research. Next question. Which of the following is wrong regarding the thesis? Wrong regarding thesis. Options are A. Voluntary, B. Always a primary research, C. Mentored by a guide, or D. Bound by university guidelines. So which of the following is wrong regarding thesis? The answer is that A. Doing a thesis voluntarily is wrong. But otherwise all the three are correct regarding the thesis. Okay. Now see the difference between thesis and a manuscript. Manuscript is always voluntary or mandatory. Okay. But in the option in the questions, they have asked whether thesis is voluntary. So we told that is wrong. Rest of the things, that is always a primary research, mentored by a guide and bounded by university guidelines, they all apply for thesis. See, they are bound by university guidelines, mentored by a guide, always a primary research. All these are the parts of a thesis. Whereas voluntarily doing a manuscript comes under manuscript. Okay, it can be a primary research or otherwise it can be a primary research, but not always. If the word always is mentioned, then you take as thesis. If the words can be primary research is mentioned, then you take manuscript as the answer. So this is basically a difference between manuscript and versus thesis. Okay, because thesis is done by postgraduates. Okay, and manuscript is not done by postgraduates. Please remember the difference between manuscript and thesis. One question can be asked from this: differences between manuscript versus thesis. Next question. The first step in the discussion section of a manuscript writing is what? Options are A. Conclusions, B. Summary of key findings, C. Comparison, or D. Interpretation. IMRD. In the D, what is the first one? The first step, we have seen this previously because this is a repeated question. It is summary of key findings. It is summary of key findings. Once again, let us see the chart on discussion part. The first step is summary of key findings. Next comes interpretation and inference, then comparison, then strength and limitations, conclusions, finally recommendations. All these are the part of a recommendations of part of the discussion part of IMRD structure. Okay. Next question. What should be avoided? What should be avoided in the abstract? Okay. Options are A. Key findings, B. Detailed explanations, C is purpose of the study, and D. Keywords. See, because abstract is basically a summary. So let us see the options. Key findings you will mention. Detailed explanations no, because abstract itself is a summary, not detailing. So this is the answer for our question. So you avoid detailed explanations. Let us see the other two options. You will mention the purpose of study and also the keywords in the abstract. So we got the answer. And next question. Which of the following should be avoided in the method section again? Chalo. Options are A. Clear descriptions, B. Repetitive information, C. Specific techniques, or D. Rationale for methods. So what should be avoided? You always avoid repetitions. So repetitive information is avoided. Clear descriptions, specific techniques and rationale for methods is mentioned in the methodology section, not the repetitions. Next question. Manuscript submission for scientific language editing. Scientific language editing involves one of the following. Let us see the options. Options are A. Spelling check, B. Grammar check, C. Punctuation check, or D. All of the above. When you submit for scientific language editing, you always have spelling checkings, grammar, punctuations. So the answer is D. All of the above. D. All of the above is the answer for this question. Next question. Which of the following is wrong regarding manuscript? Options are A. Voluntary, B. Always a primary research, C. It is led by a first author, or D. Bound by journal guidelines. See, this comes under the differences between manuscript and thesis. We have just spoken few questions back that what is wrong regarding manuscript. It is done voluntarily, yes. It is it always a primary research? No, it is not always. It is not always. It can be a primary research but not always. Okay, so this is the answer for this question. Let us see the other two options from manuscript, that it is led by the first author, yes, and it is bound by journal guidelines, yes, even this is correct. So let us once again revise the differences between manuscript and thesis. See, this is the difference between manuscript and thesis. Manuscript, it is voluntary or mandatory. It can be a primary research, but in the options they have mentioned always. So the always a primary research goes in favor of thesis. Whereas thesis is mandatory for PGs and doctoral degrees. Okay, manuscript is led by the first author. It is mentioned in the options. Then, and it is bounded by the journal guidelines. Contributions from all the authors are there. So all these things come under manuscript. Please remember. Okay, and thesis, it is mandatory for PG and doctors, and always primary research. It is led by a resident or a scholar. You always have a guide for a thesis. It is bounded by university guidelines. Okay, so these are the differences between manuscript and thesis. One question can be asked from the differences between manuscript and thesis. Let us see the next question. Which of the following does not form a part of 6S of scientific writing? 6S of scientific writing. Options are A. Simple, B. Short, C. Structured, or D. Sequestered. Which of the following does not form a part of 6S? You have to remember this part of 6S of scientific writing. As far as this question is concerned, the answer for this question is sequestered. Sequestered does not form a part of 6S of scientific writing. Let us see what does 6S consists of. The 6S of scientific writing consists of simple, short, structured, sequential, strong, and specific. In our question, they have mentioned simple, short, structured, but they have mentioned a new term or the new word sequestered. It is not a correct word or not a part of 6S. Instead, it should have been sequential. It should have been sequential. Okay. Then the other two parts are strong and specific. So please remember the 6S of scientific writing. It may be asked in the examination. Next question. Which of the following is wrong regarding manuscript? Once again, whenever this question comes in the examination, you have to first recollect the differences between manuscript and thesis. Chalo, let us see the options. A. Voluntary. Yes, it is voluntary. It can be a primary research. Yes, it can be a primary research. It is led by the first author. Yes, it is led by the first author. We know. Then what is wrong? Option number D is wrong, that it is bound by university guidelines. University guidelines is for thesis, not for manuscript. For manuscript, you have the journal guidelines. Specific journal guidelines are there. Okay. Next question. What is the recommended writing style for a manuscript? Options are A. Formal and objective, B. informal and subjective, C. technical and complex, or D. simple and concise. The recommended writing style for a manuscript is always formal and objective. It is always formal and objective. Please remember the question and the answer. Next question. What is a common element in a cover letter for a manuscript submission? In a cover letter, what is the common element? Let us see the options. Author's biography, B. summary of findings, or C. reason for submission to the journal, or D is detailed methodology. In the covering letter, what will you submit? You will submit the reasoning. Why are you submitting? Okay, so the reason for submission to that journal is a common element in the covering letter for manuscript submission. The next question. Which of the following is wrong about abstract? Again, regarding abstract, options are A. that it is a miniature manuscript, B. it could be structured or unstructured, C. that it is the least commonly read part, or D. it should be between 100 to 350 words. So what is wrong? Let us see the options again. That it is a miniature manuscript, abstract, yes, correct. It can be structured or unstructured. Abstract can be structured or unstructured, yes, even this is correct. Then it is the least commonly read part, no, because the answer is that it is the most commonly read part. It is not least, it is actually most commonly read part for any thesis or any study. You first read the abstract. Finally, it should be between 100 to 350 words. Yes, this has been prescribed that it should be between 100 to 350 words. Chalo, see the small discussion or a slide on abstract or summary, that it is a miniature manuscript. It can be structured or unstructured, usually 100 to 350 words, and it is most commonly read. But in our question, they have mentioned that it is the least commonly read. So we told that it is a wrong statement regarding abstract. The correct statement is that it is most commonly read. Lastly, a plain language summary is used for an abstract. Okay, please remember all these points regarding the abstract. More specifically, 100 to 300 words. 100 to 300 words. Next question. What is the recommended length of a manuscript abstract? Just now we spoke. It is 100 to 350 words. Directly we will take the answer. 100 to 350 words. Okay. Please remember this answer. Don't get confused with 250 to 350, 350 to 450, or 450 to 550 words. It is very clear. As per the recommendations, the length of the abstract should be 100 to 300 words only. Okay. Next question. All of the following are correct regarding argument matrix, except what? What are all correct? 3 statements are correct except one statement. That A, it is a framework, or B, it respects the structure of various sections, or C, it develops 20 to 30 ideas, or D, it is used to prepare the outline of a manuscript. So what are correct? Let us see the options again. It is a framework, argument matrix, yes. B, that it respects the structure of various sections, yes, even this is correct. It develops 20 to 30 ideas. It definitely develops ideas, but not 20 to 30. Not 20 to 30. This numbering is not mentioned. So therefore, this is the answer for this question. And lastly, that it is used to prepare the outline of a manuscript. Yes, even this is correct. Now, let us see a small discussion on this argument matrix. Here we go. So this is a slide on the argument matrix where you are organizing the ideas within the structure. It respects the structure of various sections. It develops few ideas. See, only 2 or 3 logically and sequentially, not 20 to 30. They have mentioned in our question 20 to 30 ideas, which is wrong. Only 2 to 3 ideas come. Okay, and it is used to prepare the outline of the manuscript. Okay, so please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. What is the purpose of the discussion section in a dissertation? Once again we went back. Okay, IMRD discussion section. What is the purpose? A, to present the raw data, or B, to interpret the results and compare them to previous studies, or C, to outline the research methods, or D, to state the research question. Answer is very simple. The purpose of discussion section is to interpret the results and compare them to the previous studies Next question. What is the common reason for manuscript rejection? We are speaking regarding the rejection. Options are A, poor formatting, B, plagiarism, C, lack of originality, or D, all of the above. See, the most common reasons for manuscript rejections are poor formatting, yes, definitely yes. Plagiarism, yes, definitely. Lack of originality, yes. So therefore, the answer for this question is D, all of the above. D, all of the above. Now let us see the last question. Which of the following is wrong regarding thesis? Again, the moment this question is asked, you have to recollect the chart or the differences between manuscript and thesis. Let us see the options. Which of the following is wrong? Mandatory? Yes, it is mandatory for all the PGs. It is always a primary research? Yes, it is always a primary research. It is led by a first author? No, we know that all the theses are led by whom? By a guide, generally professor. And finally, it is bound by university guidelines. Yes, even this is correct. Okay, so we know the answer for this question. With this, we complete this 24th chapter of manuscript writing. After this, we have the final chapter in this basic course of biomedical research, that is grand proposal writing. Okay, grand proposal writing. Only few questions are there from this chapter. 50 questions are not mentioned because very less questions were asked previously from grand proposal writing. Chalo then. Happy reading. Bye.